What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from AlexCFE, and today we have another deck profile. So today, something that I've been looking forward to for quite a while, we are actually going to be going over Claret Sword Dragon. So this is definitely a deck that's not super popular, but I've just been waiting to play Claret Sword forever. I've had these cards for quite a bit, so I have really been collecting a lot of dust. And huge shout out to my buddy Tommy from Locals as well. He helped me really craft this deck and play test with it. So I believe it's to a point now where you actually have like a decent shot against a lot of different decks. I feel like this is almost just as powerful as Luard overall. Like it takes it in a different direction, kind of funnels you in one way, but it's still very grade 1 centric. It has a lot of blowout potential overall and has like some good options that kind of keep you in the game long term. So I'm very excited to go over this. Again, this is one of the more fun decks. I feel like I'm going to get these out of the way kind of first. If you guys are interested in more serious decks, make sure to hit the subscribe button to keep up to date. I will kind of be posting that as BCS approaches a little bit, but doing a little bit more testing with those, seeing what I personally want to take, and might kind of skew it from there. So let me know if there's anything you want to see down below. Maybe I'll get to that first, but hopping right into it then, we're going to start off with the grade 3 lineup over here. So pretty simple 2-2 split of the old Claret and the new one over here. Now I know what you're going to say, they're different names. Actually, you can run 4 and 4. It really comes down to the fact that there's not enough room to really run either of these. I feel like at more copies through playtesting, we've tried it like a 3-1 split on both, more of like a 4-1, like all these different combinations. I just feel like split down the middle, it's fine. Like you will see most of the time what you're looking for because we are running the brand win if you're trying to go into that grade 3. And we also have just so many deck thinning capabilities here where, like, by the time you're ready to go onto your second grade 3 ride, like, you'll probably find this right here. Going first, it doesn't... going second, it doesn't exactly matter which one you really see. You do ideally want to see this, but there's a couple different options you can go with. So overall, I really actually do like the split, the normal split over here. And for those who don't know, basically at the end of battle, this guy attacked, you counterblast 1, bind 7 cards from your drop zone, stand this guy up, -1 drive, and your chain rancor kind of copies that. So that's like the main idea of it. The ride up with this is actually pretty decent as well. You can really abuse the 2 force markers, and with the CB, when you stride on top of them, you could actually go find another grade 1. So a lot of deck thinning, a lot of searchability. You can kind of toolbox this deck and get away with it actually very, very consistently. And something that you do want to almost always search, if possible, if you have the counterblast, if you have like kind of the setup ready for it, this is such a great card. Eldona, you need to be running this at 3 of at least. I've tried it with 2. I think 3 is the sweet spot overall. This counts as a grade 1 in the deck end drop zone, so it counts towards a bunch of G guards, a bunch of other skills in general for strides, and it really does help you resource farm early game, late game, and it's just a great card overall because you're able to counterblast 1, retire 2 other rear guards, which helps out your Claret, and then if this unit's on Vanguard Circle, for every grade 1 card in your drop, gets 5k until the end of battle. So just drawing 2 cards is absolutely huge. And again, there's another card actually here that does do that, which kind of segues us into the grade 2. So as you can see, we're kind of running a spattering of grade 2s. Really, the main ride over here is going to be the Drag Wizard Leafall, and when this guy is placed on Van or Rear, you get the CB1. Search your deck for a grade 1 card, call it to open Rearguard Circle. Everybody really knows the combo is Sharon over here. If you call down the Sharon, Soul Blast 1, counter charge, gets 3k, so always a solid card just to flood your board over there. If you don't already have an main, you can go and get that, which can kind of spawn into something else. So if you have an open Counterblast again, you can go from, the Drag Wizard Leafall, going into the Nemain then, and then the Nemain rests itself to go get another copy of the D series Nemain. Now this really is like for an early farm. You don't really want to attack with it. We don't have like blaster kind of vanguards that kind of buff it up to like a 10k, but being that 5k body, it is searchable actually, which is really, really nice. So one place on Rear, if your Vanguard's clan is only Shadow Paladin, which obviously it is in this deck, CB1, put a card from your hand into your Soul, draw 2 cards, and Soul is actually pretty important in this deck overall. I feel like there's multiple times where you use it. There's points where like you feel like you're choked if you don't have it. Other important grade 2s over here too, you're gonna notice we don't have oh god, I forgot the name of the triple rare. Oh god, you guys know which one I'm talking about. I'm sorry, I forgot the name off the top of my head, but you don't actually need it. In playtesting, I was like so adamant that like you needed it. The 10k never like really came up, never really like, made a huge difference. The consistency piece of it is like whatever too. Like this is definitely a better card overall. One place, this guy gets an additional 5k, so just free 5k, which is always good. You may put 3 cards on the top of your deck into your drop zone, and if a grade 1 was put, you CB1, draw a card. Extra card draw just keeps you in the game longer. If you want to expend a CB, I know it's a little expensive, you can do that. Otherwise, it is just the 5k. So 3 cards into the top of the drop zone, like that is pretty big to just have like a free mill like that. Just feels more impactful. I forgot oh man, I'm beating myself up right now. I forgot the name of the triple rare that the grade 2 that came in the Claret set, but don't need it personally in my opinion. This really takes that slot in our deck. This is kind of like our Dagda for this clan. I mean for this this build. This is gonna be Dark Knight Maiden Maka. So the old Maka over here is GB1, which is so much easier now to kind of find, and this really helps you multi-attack on your first ride up if you are using the G Claret sword, which really helps just put pressure on. Like you could really abuse the two different force markers that you do get off of that ride up turn. Like you can put it on one circle and really go to town with this. Basically get like 4 or 5 attacks on your first ride up, which is, you know, very solid overall. You're hitting for some really solid numbers. So when this unit attacks the Vanguard, you CB1 if this guy's boosted. Search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 card, call it the rear guard circle. If you have another, you know, spare counterblast too at that point, like go into the Eldona. It just helps you farm, helps you get whatever you need. You know, you can call it the owl over here, which we're gonna get in the grade 1s in a second. You can soul blast one to draw a card. It's basically like whatever that you think at the moment that you need. Just very important for that multi-attack. And getting into the grade 1s, actually if you call it on the ride up turn, you can't do it for a soul blast because your opponents and you are not the same grade. So I misspoke a little bit there, but you know what I meant, like just a bunch of farm. But this is really where it gets super techy in the grade 1 lineup. I did mention the domains, you know, obviously deck thinning is deck winning, and you need to farm out and kind of like mill a bunch of your grade 1, so having them on board and then various different effects, just retire them, makes it a little bit easier for the Claret restand over here. But speaking about making it easier for the Claret restand, we do finally have like a very accessible version of the Claret promo finally. I think this was reprinted like twice now in the past couple of sets, but basically it's coming out. It came out in the last what was it, the history collection set. So basically when this is in the drop, when it would be bound by the ability of a Claret sword, if you have 7 more, if you've already used the Claret sword skill, this basically counts for 7 grade 1s by itself, which is pretty dang good overall. And also when it is discarded during your hand, you get to look at the top during your turn, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put up to 1 card from your drop zone from among them, 1 card into the drop zone from among them, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So towards the end of the game, this could actually kind of help if your deck is super thin and compressed. You can actually, like, you know, stride with this, do whatever you want, and like it's very easy to start like manipulating what's going to actually be towards your bottom drive checks, because ideally you're drive checking like at least 5 times per turn, which is pretty cool. Having that other effect too, just being able to count entirely for Claret sword, Claret sword's ability is really great. And we do obviously have 2 copies of the updated Hanali. I think it's really important to just stop these blowout decks sometimes if you possibly can. Just making sure that you don't give them too many resources, and this really kind of holds them up as well. It's a grade 1, so it's, you don't mind if it's like milled or, you know, discarded or whatever it is, because it will count for you a little bit later into the game. And we are still running 3 Brandwin. Now I'm running the G Arrow ones just because that's typically, like, if you're going first, like, you always want to go into that, like, there's no doubt about it, and it's so easy to kind of I guess just like find it with that. Like it makes it a lot simpler. We're running like an okay amount of grade 3s overall, especially with the Heal Guardians. Like I think it's just way more common to actually hit this than it used to be pre-Heal Guardians, so the consistency has been there. Like I really haven't been misriding too much. Like I feel like I'm getting what I need when I need it in a way, and we have a lot of options otherwise too. And then lastly, I think for the grade 1s outside of the Karen, which I kind of briefly touched on, is the Blue Esplata Dragon. So one place you get to look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Claret Sword Dragon or a Morian Spear Dragon. That's the second, the grade 2 we don't need. Really expensive too. From among them, what does it get? Where was I over here? Yeah, you basically look for the Claret sword, put it into your hand, and then the rest into your drop zone. And then if your drop has 5 or more grade 1s, this gets 10k, so it becomes a really good beater. You have to be careful with the milling towards the end of the game, because you can actually mill accidentally a little bit too much, so just be aware of that. And then getting into the trigger lineup over here, first and foremost, the new guy. This is the new Into Soul crit. Basically just when it's checked defensively, you get to draw. It's just really good consistency tool, and a deck that like wants to just blow your opponent out and like hit a bunch of crits, you know, absolutely no qualms about running this. Like you gotta do it. Also over here too, part that I think is pretty nice, we do a lot of multi-attack, but when you're on like a proper Claret turn, it can be hard to like naturally do it overall. I feel like having this in the deck could really help. You can go into the blue one too if you want to, but I really think the multi-attack that you get from this can spill into other multi-attack, and you just see more benefit in the long run from this guy over here. Just drawing an extra card is really nice as well. So I personally really do like this card, and I think I'm running it in my build. Switch up with the blue one if you want to try it. Otherwise, I don't think like the regular base Cray Elemental's okay in this. If you want to keep a budget and a little bit more budget, like yeah, go into that. Otherwise, yeah, don't use the, what was it, the god, the can't think of the name, Keter Sanctuary over trigger over here. But yeah, 4 other of the G stride crits, or just stride crits in general, sorry, not G1s, 3 Maclear, and then the 4 Heal Guardians, as well as 1 of the Elementaria Sanctitude. You can use any starter you want. I'm just using the in-theme one right there, but Elementaria kind of necessary at this point in the game. If any deck can kind of afford it, it's definitely going to be there, and still counts as a grade 1 if you mill it and drop, so it's not like a huge deal overall. Getting into the G-Zone, there's probably one thing I would change up over here. This is like my original copy-paste of the list itself, but breaking it down really quick, we are running 3 copies of Chain Rancor. I would probably cut this down to 2 and actually up Morfessa. Sometimes, like, this is why I said it's kind of similar to like a Luard deck. Sometimes Morfessa just feels like the better play at times. If you know you can't get off can't even get off the Claret skill, Morfessa is just like so easy to do it. Like you have so many grade 1, so many things that count as a grade 1. Like Ritual 10 is like a joke to hit. You can be gearing yourself towards going into this too from early on into the game, making sure that you mill a bunch of cards and just have like all those grade 1s in drop. Like, it's absolutely fine. Also, I feel like if you're going second and you aren't quite ready for a powerful Chain Rancor turn, this is just a great like resource to go into, and just it feels really good. So I would actually up this. This is usually my go-to if I do go second, if I'm not ready to like really have a successful V Claret turn on Chain Rancor. So don't be afraid to do that. This is definitely still a viable option. Another viable option too, if they don't have enough rear guards to really retire for this, just again, more along the lines of just restanding your Vanguard. This is generically good pretty much in any Shadow Paladin premium deck at this point. So Dark Knight Crunch, you get to retire 2 rear guards. Opponent chooses 3 of their rear guards, retires them. If they did not retire, basically CB1, restand this guy, and it gets an extra 10k. So again, you're not losing drive checks too, which is like pretty crazy. You can go for a farm term. It's pretty low commitment. I feel like this is a good card overall. Getting into the other stuff, this is more just like filler. The Sentinel Restrict on this extra drive crit could make a difference in the game. You know, don't really necessarily need it. This is Claret Sword deck, so I just put this in here too. Claret Sword Helheim basically again gets around like the Sentinel and the G-Guard thing. You can call some more grade 1s down, spam, kind of farm, do whatever you need to do. This is the Ride Up Stride over here, so basically when this guy hits a Vanguard, which it automatically will, you search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 or less card, call it to rearguard circle, and then shuffle your deck. So basically, you know, again, just go call something else, a grade 1 card. You're going to call the Ildona, hopefully. You call either this if you need to farm for a little bit later, spam some stuff down. If you need to countercharge, totally go into this. This can actually save you for going into this G-Guard if you didn't already have Counterblast. So this is simultaneously the best and worst kind of G-Guard in this, just because Claret specifically doesn't want grade 1s necessarily back in deck. They kind of want them in the drop, but this also does help you because you are going to be thinning out your deck like crazy. You will run into the same issue as Luard, where you do have that deck out on the horizon, and unlike Luard, we don't run a lot of those triggers that go back into the deck that kind of like, you know, just kind of replenish yourself. This over here makes it so that you don't deck out necessarily, because you can put them all back in your deck and you don't need to use that Counterblast skill. There's a lot of times too, people are like always so fixated on actually using the Counterblast to basically make it so that you're not hit, but all you have to do sometimes, like if the OT is revealed, you can start doing math and you can make it, you know, 3 to pass, no pass, with whatever it is, off of just this G-Guard alone, and based on how many grade 1s you put back into your deck. So it serves you in the game state, it serves you just as a good shield value overall, and also like a pseudo PG in a time where you really need it. So just some generic shield over here. Ritual 3 again is a joke to get to in this deck, so 25k shield is always good. Calling your grade 1s over here, moving them to from rearguard circle onto guardian circle is pretty good. Drawing a card, like no big deal, just, you know, one of them is solid. Also over here, when it's placed on guardian circle, pay the cost. If you do, 5k for every 2 grade 1 cards in your drop zone. If you have a ton of them in your drop zone, like this is just again big shields. And then lastly over here, when this is placed on guardian circle, Dragweiser Bronak, real 5 cards top of your deck, call all grade 1s to guardian circle, rest of the bottom deck in any order. Again, just like stacking up your drop zone with those grade 1s. So overall, that is pretty much the deck profile. Again, just to kind of summarize this, if I'm going first, I'm very focused on farming throughout. You know, the Abyssal Owl is there for the main call early, especially if you're going second. It feels really good to go into that just to get a couple extra resources. The Claret V Claret, if you're going second, if you want to go straight into the Chain Rancor from the V Claret, you can do that. If you want to go into Morfessa, that is fine as well, but ideally you do go first. This is definitely a deck that prefers to go first. Go into this Claret Sword and farm the 2 markers off the new updated Stride right here. You do some multi-attack shenanigan with the Maka, just potentially farm as well with the Ildona if you really want, and then your second turn you go into the Claret Sword, and then Chain Rancor itself. I don't know if I covered Chain Rancor's skill, but basically if you have 3 grade 1 or less units, when this guy would call from hand, and to Guardian Circle. He or she must call 3 or more units at the same time, so triple door is extremely important. And then also, this is just straight up copies the skill of Claret Sword, which really makes this whole deck kind of work. Just very, very easy. It doesn't really cost you anything. You get the counterblast from the Claret Sword, but really you're not resource choked in a lot of different ways in this deck like you used to be. I feel like this is a very high functioning deck. It has a lot of options, has a lot of draw potential, and just has like that blowout potential as well. So I personally really like it. I know this is more of a rogue fun tier deck, but let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know also if you enjoy these profiles compared to my physical card ones. I got some feedback that like maybe this would be a better solution, so I'll leave the deck log down in the comments below. And as always, if you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you leave a like on the video, possibly consider subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the support I've been getting recently. I really do appreciate it, actually. And if you guys are interested in purchasing any of the cards, make sure you do shop through our TCG player link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. You can help support the channel. I definitely appreciate it. I'll never ask you guys for money, donations, anything like that, and that's just one way you can monetarily help me and make this all just a little bit more worth it. So thank you in advance. This is Alex from Alex CFE signing out.